Callum and Tristan present Leaving and Civil War, a documentary about Russia, peace, land, and bread. Russia had a grand place in Europe after the 1920s, defeating Germany on the Eastern Front in World War II, spreading communist ideas, and the now ongoing conflict that has plagued Eastern Europe, just to name a few. But all of this importance, and probably the largest reason Russia remains a superpower today, is from one small event: Russia leaving World War I and the Russian Civil War. The first seeds of these events could be traced as far back as 1904, and prior with the Russo-Japanese War, one which humiliated the Russian military might and exposed the poor leadership of Tsar Nicholas II. Later, when the Great War erupted, Russia was put to the test fighting the numerically inferior German army, yet still being defeated time after time. Lack of combat knowledge, lack of equipment and infrastructure, and lack of willingness as the war went on all seriously impacted the Russians. But it didn't all start on the front lines. Inside the capital city of Petrograd, one March 8, 1917, 10,000 women all marched. Peace, land, and bread, they said. Soon, regular workers who were affected by the war and starving joined. The military was called in and told to shoot if needed. However, as the protests went on, even the soldiers joined in. But even those aforementioned events aren't even all. Two important people take the scene and bring it all together. Rasputin, the one and only lover of the Russian queen himself, Grigory Rasputin, was one to help bring it close. Funnily enough, many historians debate both his importance and his existence, treating him more as a myth than a man. Rasputin was a Russian mystic who managed to make his way to the Tsar's wife, Alexandra, somehow. He began to influence her while her husband was on the front lines. It was said that Alexandra made all important decisions after consulting Rasputin. However, not all could be well. As the toppling monarchists tried to hold on to what was left, they assassinated Rasputin in December of 1916. I can't say I blame them though. Dude was basically a wizard powered by vodka. Very scary. But who could be as important, if not more important, than Grigory Rasputin himself? And I've guessed already. Vladimir Lenin, a leader of a small Marxist faction known as the Bolsheviks. They would come to power using the phrase peace, land, and bread, like the March 8th protest. They would seize the Winter Palace with little bloodshed on October 26th. But back to Lenin. He had been in Germany until the Germans had sent him to Russia, hoping to cause more chaos in the Eastern Giant. It worked, interestingly though. He was shipped in an armored train to, quote, prevent his ideas from spreading. As Lenin and the Bolsheviks took power in Russia and the Tsar resigned, the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk was signed on the 3rd of March 1918, resulting in the loss of lots of land. Groups of workers called Soviets also existed before this time, causing issues with the Russian economy as people moved into these groups and often refused to work. With Lenin in power by 1917, he drew Russia from the Great War, and that's when it happened. Those who believed in the Tsar or whites disliked Lenin, the Bolsheviks, and the new government coming. Those who believed this new idea would go far, or supposed Karl Marx ideas, known as Reds, disliked Tsar Nicholas and the old monarchist ideas. They fought it out from 1917 to 1921, leading with the Reds winning and creating the Soviet Union. The Whites, or Allies, were defeated. The Tsar and his family were killed on July 17, 1918 in Yekaterinburg, and that's, basically how the Whites were defeated. But now you ask why? Why is any of this important? I mean, apart from the information of the Soviet Union, why is it a turning point in history? It's time to answer it, finally. The Soviet Union began to spread communism, an ideology that caused a myriad of wars that cannot be underestimated. Not to mention, it conflicted with capitalism, and at multiple times, humans could have been wiped out because of this back and forth capitalism-communism fight that wouldn't have been a thing if Rasputin hadn't talked to Alexander that once, if Lenin didn't give a speech that once, if the Tsar wasn't as bad at commanding, if the economy was just a little bit better, and the world wouldn't be the shape it is in today. In turn, we, Callum and Tristan, both agree that this is a turning point in history, and we hope you believe the same. Thank you for watching.